What up? Ravens Nation represent! Alright, now that's all out of the way. Congratulations on the Baltimore Ravens and their fantastic Super Bowl victory. We got 2 now, baby. Got my AFC Champions hat, and I'm waiting for my Super Bowl stuff to come through the mail, either from my dad up in Maryland or when I eventually do purchase the stuff. Come on, Super Bowl champions. Yeah! Alright, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about what you all know up there. Young Justice and, of course, Green Lantern have been canceled. It is a sad, sad day in Cartoon Network. There's a lot of rumors going around as to why the show has been canceled, and frankly, I think it has a lot to do with ratings, myself, and the fact that the FCC is all over Cartoon Network for, violence on children's-oriented television shows. I think it has more to do with ratings than anything else. Young Justice, they're trying to get a more teenage, more child demographic. I mean, they did release a toy line garnered for young kids, and it failed miserably. But that's not so much Young Justice, DC's, Warner Brothers' fault. I think that was more Mattel deciding to do nothing but these elaborate 6-inch figures with these big interconnecting bases that cost like $30 a piece, and the 3 3/4-inch line were basically 2-packs for $20, which was just freaking outrageous. So I think that had a lot to do with the cancellation of that line. And without a real toy line these days, it seems, or like real memorable characters, it seems that kids just don't really get into, cartoon shows. I mean, with the exception of Nickelodeon, who seems like whatever they touch is gold, like SpongeBob SquarePants, iCarly, whatever they like on Nickelodeon, they always really seem to do well. And of course, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles being their next breakout hit. Now, one person, you could say you could go on to CartoonNetwork.com or, write to the network and, get some petitions started, 20,000 signatures on Change.org right now. And hopefully that can save the show. And I'm going to tell you this right up. Petitions don't do anything. If you really want to save this show, buy merchandise. That's it. Buy merchandise. Buy the shows through Netflix or Amazon.com. Go out and buy the DVDs. Buy anything with a Young Justice logo on it. Buy it. That is the only way that you are going to save this show. If it was because of ratings. If it's because of the FCC, then there's just no chance. Once the FCC gets a hold of a show that they don't like, they're not going to stop until it's canceled. Power Rangers. Now, of course, whoa. Power Rangers wasn't really, canceled. It took a brief hiatus, and then it came back through Nickelodeon. But the original first season of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was violent. It was ultra-violent. They used stock footage for all the fight scenes. And parents got a little annoyed. And then, of course, you got to look at, basically, you have a big, gigantic Dragonzord in battle mode just spearing, the Spidertron monster. Pulling it out, and then you see a big, gigantic hole in the thing as it explodes. That's pretty violent. I could definitely see why people would freak over that. So starting with the second season, and the decision to keep the Mighty Morphin outfits, they went more or less into making up their own fight footage, and it was more borderline slapstick than it was actual martial arts. And the show really did become a little bit more goofy. And a lot of people, you can blame parents groups and the FCC for that. Batman the Animated Series was another one. People freaked out on All in Leather Wings because Batman had blood coming from his mouth. Didn't think that belonged in a kid's show. Couldn't have blood. Also, the violence. No one loved the violence in Batman, the animated series, so the violence was toned down. They added Robin. So you didn't really see Batman throwing batarangs a lot towards the later seasons. Then there's, of course, this is probably the biggest one, Spider-Man animated series. Threw a punch, I think, maybe twice. Wasn't allowed to show guns, wasn't allowed to show glass breaking, wasn't allowed to show any of that stuff. The show was a big hit, but it was canceled because of constant FCC and, you know, Fox executives meddling in with Marvel Productions over how the show was supposed to go. So if it is because of the FCC, I really doubt that Young Justice has a chance of coming back. And we could just, you know, all the petitions aren't really going to do much of anything. And it's really sad because it really was a really great show. The voice cast was phenomenal. The plotting was sensational for something of Cartoon Network. It was just a really, really good show. I'm really sad that it's going. Then, of course, you could always look at it, the network just wanting to go into another direction. Young Justice probably just wasn't selling with the younger crowd because there weren't no recognizable characters. Besides Robin, who else was there? Superboy? Maybe. Aqualad? No. Kid Flash? No way. And I forget who this... Who played the sidekick? Who was... I'm trying to do, you know, Pool and, you know, Hugh back, you know, for archery. I can't think of her name. I gotta wiki this. I'm sorry, this is embarrassing. So anyway, while I'm wikiing it, Young Justice was a fine cartoon. I think a lot of it has to do with Teen Titans Go and the upcoming Beware the Batman. If the show isn't doing too well for one demographic, or they're not getting the ratings that they're hoping for, it's time to go into another direction. It's all about making money. That's all it is. You're not going to be making money if you're going to put on a show that is probably going to be eventually canceled by the government, you know, the FCC. And you're probably, definitely not going to get a show renewed if it's not getting the intended demographics. Let's say that people are really into Young Justice but not kids. Well, you're not getting that intended demographics, so all the little jelly commercials and McDonald's Happy Meal commercials, they're not going to appeal to an adult. So therefore, they're going to get rid of them. That's just how it is. Artemis! That was her name. Artemis! See, I got it. So, like I said, if you really want to save the show, you've got to buy the merchandise. You just got to buy the merchandise. That's really the only way you're going to be taken seriously. Look at Star Trek, and look at Family Guy and Futurama, Arrested Development. These are 4 hugely cult favorite shows. Family Guy was canceled not because of low ratings, although the ratings did lower because of constant interference by the censors and, of course, the sponsors were pulling out over its content. That's why it was canceled. It was its content. People were afraid to invest money into this show. Futurama was canceled, low ratings. It had a lousy time slot. It was on before 8 o'clock. It got pushed around a couple of, you know, every which way. It just wasn't selling good. Arrested Development, same way. It had good ratings, but not the ratings Fox wanted. And during their the then regime, if they weren't competing with the big 3 networks, they yanked the plug on everything. Another couple of really good shows that I could think of off the top of my head was Greg the Bunny and Titus. 2 shows that I felt were really good. Although I haven't seen Greg the Bunny since it aired, so but Titus. 2 really good shows, yanked basically because the Fox executives didn't like it very much. Even though it did decent in the ratings. Titus had really good ratings. Not sure about Greg Glenn. And then, of course, the biggest of the three, Star Trek. Star Trek was not saved due to protests and letter writing. It wasn't. Although it was threatened with cancellation for 2 seasons, letter writing during the 2nd season did bring it back. But it did have the ratings to secure a 3rd season. But really, it was the letter writing campaign that really did it. But it was the first of its kind, the very first of its kind. And after several fan letters after the 3rd season, they didn't listen. This time they were like, no, I'm sorry, this show is done. It also didn't help them that they moved it to another time slot. You know, Friday night at 10 p.m., which is considered the death slot. What saved Star Trek was the cash gold that was syndicated television. That's also what saved Futurama and Family Guy. It was syndicated television. When those shows went up to syndication, whatever network showed them had an increase of ratings just for those programs. For Adult Swim, it was Family Guy and Futurama. And the networks took notice. They realized that, hey, we can actually sell, we could probably actually bring this show back and make money off of it. We really can. But Family Guy also had just an extremely popular DVD collection. 2 DVD sets, season 1 and 2, and then season 3. They both came out around the same time, and they were just phenomenal sellers. And that was another thing that really took notice with the networks. So they brought those shows back. Futurama, they brought it back with basically, they just brought it back full speed ahead. With Futurama, they kind of treaded the waters a little bit. DVD movies, and then announcing that it was coming to Comedy Central of all places. Which I feel is a good fit, because Comedy Central doesn't really have that much, you know, original programming besides South Park and, of course, Tosh.0 being another one. They don't really have something that would be really considered like a big hit. So they can afford to spend money on something like Futurama. And Arrested Development is going to Netflix. Netflix of all places, which means you have to pay to see it. You have to pay a subscription to Netflix in order to watch this. So if you really want Young Justice to be saved, buy the merchandise, buy the DVDs, buy for download streaming, Hulu plus it, you know, the works. That's how you're going to save that show. It's on Cartoon Network, which is a kids network. The only way that I felt, if it was the ratings, the only way that I felt that Young Justice probably could have been saved was if they took it off of its original Sunday block, because it was originally a Sunday show, then they moved it to Saturdays, where it's in competition with SpongeBob and Ninja Turtles. They took that show and they put it on its Adult Swim block, which of course is a William Street populated, you know, monopoly. But if they put it either on Adult Swim or their Friday action block, maybe, just maybe, the show probably could have done a little bit better. But then, you know, Thundercats didn't do too so well on Fridays, did it? But for the foreseeable future, I mean, if you want to go and do protests and go ahead and get your if you want to go ahead and just do your letter writing campaign, write to Cartoon Network, Change.org has got a protest going on where you can sign a petition. Go ahead. If you feel like that'll help, go ahead. I'm telling you, it probably won't. There's so many factors that go into saving a television show from cancellation or bringing a television show back, and petitions ain't one of them. Batman Beyond still has a petition going on to save that show. Static Shock has a petition to save that show. And of course, I think even Animal Practice has a petition to save that show. I mean, but it's just not going to happen with just letter writing alone. Even if you crash the servers, it's not going to happen. You would either have to put up the money yourself, along with a fan letter, or just buy the merchandise. You got to show them that you support. Names on a canvas are not as effective than this. You got to put up the money. You really want to save this show, put up the money. But another thing you can do is you can stop watching whatever they're going to put on. You can boycott the network altogether, not even watch it for Adult Swim, which would be really hard with, you know, Family Guy reruns and Robot Chicken. And actually, that's probably all I do watch Adult Swim for. Looney Tunes reruns, Tom and Jerry reruns in the afternoon. I mean, you can't watch network altogether. You just can't. But considering that kids love Cartoon Network, that's probably not going to happen. You would have to boycott their latest series on DC Nation. That's going to premiere soon. Teen Titans Go, which is kind of a continuation of the original Teen Titans show. And Beware the Batman. But with kids absolutely in love with Batman, I don't think that's going to happen either. That show is probably going to do well. 3 seasons at most. Like Brave and the Bold Batman is probably going to do like 3 seasons. Kids love Batman. But if you feel letter writing, petitions are the way to go, then I bless you on your quest. May have glory with you. Continue on. But for those realists, even though I'm upset about this show's cancellation, I'm still a realist. I know that this probably will not work. Most likely will not work. But if you really want to save the show, go right ahead. I'll even sign a petition myself, but I don't think it's going to work. But you're more than happy to do it. Godspeed. Make it so.